Hi, this is Fred with Quality Engravers. I'm going to show you a simple plate of how to make a 3-line tag and then duplicate it if you want to do a couple and make margins from your edge of your plate. I've already got a job set up. It's a 1x3. Click on my text, and I call this paragraph text. They call it frame text. One of the things you want to do when you click on frame text, you want to make sure that you're in the frame properties first. Close that. Come back. Let me do that one more time. And since I'm in that, I want to make this 0.2. I like to do anything that I'm going to do with my margins. I like to do that before I start typing. And maybe the top margin 0.15 and 0.15. Okay, if all those are set and that looks about what I want, then I'm going to start typing. Make sure that your letter height is right. Maybe it's 0.156 letter height. And then also look at your font to make sure that's the font that you want. And I'll just type in line number 1, line number 2, enter line number 3. Now, of course, you could swipe through this and all of it could be left adjusted or right adjusted or, of course, centered. And I believe you can even, let me just swipe through just this one and see if this by itself could be left adjusted. Okay, so there's your lines of text. Now, I want to do 2 of these tags. And these are not going to be variables, or even if they were going to be variables, you could make them that way. One of the things that I like to do is I know that this is a 0.156 letter, so I'm going to type in my calculator 156 divided by 8. So that means I'm going to be using a 20 cutter. So I'm going to go down here and make that P20. It'll just remind me when I go back to engrave the job for a second time that I used a 20 cutter. Obviously, you could put information up above 0.020C, something like that, to tell you that that's what you use. Usually I have it off to the left. But another thing that I like to do is I like to plate the object. And then I use P13 as the color of something I'm not going to use. So I'm going to select this all, and I'm going to go to my badges, click on badges. If I wanted these to be variables, or any one of them to be variables, I'd have to click on them to make it that way. And I don't know if you could unclick from it. Let me cancel. I don't know if you can or not. Anyways, I'm going to go back to badges. I won't click on it because I'm not using any of those, and I'm going to tell it I want to do 2 badges, and my plate size is maybe a 12 by 12 piece of material. In this case, top margin and left margin 0.3, and maybe you can't go to the right side because of clamps also, and you can't go to the bottom because you have clamps on there. And then let's say that I want spacing on here, and my horizontal spacing, let's say you're using an end mill, so maybe you might be at 0.2 inches so that you'll see it separates. So it'll be 0.3 from the edges and 0.2 from each. Okay, and then I just click on OK, and here's my 2 tags. So this would actually be the part that the size of your engraving, and to engrave just the text, you hold the Alt key, click on P20, and then you'd send this to the engraver. Now, after you've done this, it's a pretty good idea that maybe you want to do a cutout, and you're using an 060 cutter beveler. So I'm going to go engrave, create toolpath, mail. And then you have to select that it's an end mill. So you use a 062, and I'll use 060 or 062, won't matter. If you need to make this exact, you can add, and I'll change this one to 062. 60 because that is the tools that you usually get. Okay, so, and let me see, what else do I need to do? And then I'll tell it to change and then say okay. So now I've created that. So, and as far as the depth, I know I'm cutting through 16th inch material. This will give me about 15 thousandths of overlap, and I want to make sure it's doing it in one pass. And I've got my 60 color designated. So now when after I've run the tag, I'm gonna, or if I'm using cut by color, I'll be able to select just this, and then that will be the cut path that it takes. Hope this helps.